Um, Thank you very much. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Mário Medina, Technical Director for BlueVoyant International. I'm based on Spain, but covering countries like Portugal, Spain, of course, and some of the Latin American regions. I have been in cyber for 16 years now, combining customer side experience, but also consulting services. In this session, I'm going to discuss about our learnings, right, that we have been applying during the deployment of more than 600 cloud-native SIEMs across the globe, and also our best practice and how we were able to overcome those challenges. But to start, I will introduce briefly our company, BlueVoyant. It's a cybersecurity services company which provides internal and external cyber defense. We were founded in 2017 from leaders by leaders from Morgan Stanley, Thomson Reuters, and top government agencies. Currently, we are handling more than 600 customers across the globe in more than 30 countries. Our headquarters is in New York, but we have global presence, particularly for EMEA. We have presence in 16 countries and 3 different security operations centers, risk operations centers, one in Budapest, second one in Geneva, and the third one in London. The risk operations center, it's a concept, it's a SOC style group of people, but more focuses to the supply chain. Our goal as a company is basically to offer the full overview of a cyber risk. We internally, internal risks are covered by our managed security services, including OT security. The external risks are covered by our digital risk protection services. And the risks in the supply chain are covered by our supply chain defense. All of these services are backed up by our professional services team and by our cloud-native platform, which is BlueVoyant Elements. We strongly believe that we have the best-in-class approach to deploy and manage more than 600 cloud-native SIEM, especially from the best practice perspective and from the automation point of view. These are some industry recognition that we have, but this show basically our commitment to be a reference in the MSSP space. In the last 12 months, we got the Elite Microsoft Verified Managed XDR Solution status. In 2022, we got the Microsoft 2S Security Partner of the Year award. Nowadays, we all know that cybersecurity threats are becoming more complex, more sophisticated, well-founded, and also well-organized. But at the same time, there are some market challenges that are complicated, the life for MSSP and for the customers as well. The first one is the cloud adoption. The more cloud adoption we are having, the more we are expanding our external attack surface. And this attack surface needs some cloud-native security solutions to know what's happening there, right? At the same time, the more tools we are having, the more consolidation strategy is needed. Customers also are demanding more knowledge, more expertise on top of these platforms. Historically speaking, detection has been always mandatory. Response at endpoint level has also been mandatory. But the threat landscape is also asking to have response across all the different technologies. To add one more item to all of this complexity, customers also want privacy and want to keep their data totally private. So to solve these challenges, we have this approach. It's basically, we work inside your environment. So this is a unique approach because we move all of our security content to your environment. So everything related to use cases, everything related to dashboards, playbook, everything is inside your environment. So this model has very good advantages because the data, the logs are totally private, right? The data residency also is another advantage. And at the same time, the customer has also full visibility of what we are doing as a MSSP. This model, we strongly believe that this is the right approach for a next generation SOC. But to talk about next generation SOC, it's important to understand from where this concept is coming from. Probably you have seen this slide, but basically initial versions of the SOC has very basic functions like firewall management, intrusion detection, antivirus alert management. While the years were passing through, more SOC key functions were added, like vulnerability management, on-prem SIEM, next generation firewalls, among others. Between years 2007 and 2013, it's considered to be the golden age of the SOC evolution because concepts like on-prem SIEM, next generation SIEM, which also added more functionalities like user and entity behavior analytics. Also, the EDR technology appeared in the market, and also threat intelligence, data lake, among others. But nowadays, we have the presence of the cloud adoption. So this is forcing to have cloud-native security solutions, cloud-native SIEM, in order to easily integrate those technologies, but at the same time, to have visibility in those cloud workloads. So technologies like, for example, cloud security posture management and cloud workload protections are also mandatory nowadays. The more technology we have, the more alerts we are going to have. So concepts like automation, SOAR, also appear to support some of these functions. So in summary, the SOC journey started with a reactive approach, then moved to a proactive phase, and now we have a proactive, I would say, status with automation. Automation is the key here. Operating next generation SOC software has some operational challenges. In our experience, these are the most relevant ones. We have high volume of alert and high volume of false positive, right? Most of the alerts have very few information, which can help us to decide if the alert should be investigated or not. So that's why this is a problem, because analysts can waste a lot of time analyzing and triaging these alerts, right? Since we have high volume of alerts, we have people that needs to do a lot of repetitive tasks. So everything that we can do in order to save time in those, repetitive workflows, it will be a better way to use those resources, right? The most important thing when we are talking about detection is the content. What is the content? It's use cases, alerts, analytics. So how, from the MSSP point of view, can we handle 600 customers in an efficient way in order that we can deploy quickly this content? That's one of the most relevant challenges that we have. And later, how can we measure all of this? I mean, how can we know, from the operational point of view, how fast are we detecting, how fast are we responding, and from the financial point of view, are we good with the numbers? Are we consuming too much money in our cloud? So those are the challenges, right? To solve these challenges, we have several components in our platform. In the upper side, which is basically a BlueVoyant platform or a platform, I call it also a backend SOAR, allow us to triage 100% of alerts. Every alert that we receive is triaged by this backend. At the same time, we have enrichment, which provides more context to this alert. This enrichment is done using more than 40 different threat intelligence feeds, right? In order that we can be able to identify if the indicators are compromised or the entities has some, clean or malicious reputation. This platform in the upper side also allows us to have the case management system, which is a single pane of glass for the analyst to have everything in a single place. So they don't need to pivot between different platforms to save more time. This case management system also allows us to integrate with the workflows or ticketing platform from our customers, especially when we need to save steps or I would say repetitive tasks from the analyst side, right? In the middle side, that dark blue bar here, it's where we handle all the security content. Is where we have our own platform, a central repository where we have all the alerts, all the use cases, and we can easily deploy those alerts to every customer. How we deploy that content? We deploy that content using API connections to all of our security customers' environment. So if, for example, if we have a specific rule that a customer is asking to create, we can identify if the rule is also useful for the rest of our customers and deploy it in less than 20 minutes to the 600 customers. In the downside, we have also the client-server automation. There are some alerts that will require some automated response, and this automated response is basically a playbook running in the customer client SIEM, right? How we solve all of these challenges can be separated in 3 different categories, main categories, I would say. The first one, I already mentioned a little bit about how we work with the content, how we handle all the content in a central repository in order that we can efficiently manage those 600 customers, those 600 alert sets, right? In the second blue box in the middle, it's how we are solving the challenge of having the high volume of alert. The first thing that we are doing is to enrich the information, not only with the threat intelligence feeds, but also with more EDR telemetry, mostly, that will create, more empowerment for the SOC analyst to take any manual decision in case of needed. And the last thing, it's more related to the case management, incident management. It's very important how we are handling this topic because normally a specific incident in a technology can generate multiple alerts, and these alerts can be 10, can be 11, but sometimes can be hundreds or thousands of alerts. So there is a need to have a mechanism to correlate all of them and put it together in only one incident to be investigated by the SOC itself. Right? To show some examples in how we are handling this workflow, everything starts with everything starts with an alert generated from the customer environment. We take this alert, we extract the entity information, and we ingest into our platform. In step number 2, we do the threat intelligence enrichment, where we can decide if the case can be closed automatically because it's just a false positive, right? In the step number 3 is where we use the EDR telemetry to put more details in top of the alert. Step number 4, we can execute an automated response in the customer side. Steps 1 to 4 are executed in 15 seconds. And the rest of the alerts are received by the SOC analyst to be investigated. This is one example where we have an alert, IP addresses. We identify that IP address is malicious, so we can take 2 actions. We can recommend to the customer to block out manually, or much better, we can execute a playbook where we take these IP addresses, put it in a network security group in a cloud environment, and block it automatically. Another example of enrichment, but using more API connection, with particularly Defender API. We have multiple alerts coming from Defender. We have a suspicious activity about files downloaded from the internet. We can execute a playbook that is going to connect to the Defender API and get the historical information of the last 15 or 20 minutes of the activity at PowerShell level, and everything in a single pane of glass. We talk about repetitive actions. Here we are correlating 8 different alerts to only one incident. In this example, there are only 8, but we have had cases where we have hundreds or thousands of alerts related to the same incident. And finally here, we already mentioned about the content, how we handle the content, but it's important to understand that this content is in addition to the context provided out of the box by all the cloud-native SIEMs. So the return of investment and the visibility is increased in every customer. To summarize the benefits, 100% of the alerts enrichment, 100% of the alerts triage automatically, and this allows us to have 87% of automated response, including the false positive. Every 100 alerts, 87 are handled automatically. This allows us to have also less than 15 minutes in the meantime to acknowledge, and at the same time allow us to have in the level 1 analyst people with 9.8 years of experience, which is normally a level 2 or level 3 analyst in any other MSSP. To finish, it's important that all of you responsible for the cybersecurity monitoring ask yourself some of these questions, like for example, what you are doing with the indicators of compromise, how is supporting your incident response, are you tackling the alert fatigue, and are you filtering all the noise? Are you handling and maintaining the use cases? Do you have any type of improvement, continuous improvement process? So answering all of these questions, and especially this one here, we strongly believe that the future of detection and response start answering these questions to be prepared to what's coming next in the threat landscape. Thank you very much. Obrigado.